keto itself. Rather, we're going to be talking about whether or not you can get similar benefits of keto that people are finding without actually being in ketosis, okay? So here's the deal. Before I get into these ways that I want to discuss with you guys, I am not against the ketogenic diet. The ketogenic diet's been around for a very long time. Most people think it's new. It's not new. It's just new that people are now taking this on for themselves. On a larger scale, it's new that now this is like a household name that people know. But in terms of medical treatments, this has been around for a very long time to the ketogenic diet to treat things like epilepsy, a lot of brain disorders, brain diseases, and things like that. It has very neuroprotective properties. Some people have been experimenting with it for cancer. So in terms of treatments, it can be very beneficial. Now, I don't normally, just adjusting. Hey, Cassandra, thanks for joining. I'm making everybody motion sick here. I don't normally recommend the ketogenic diet for most people most of the time, okay? And here's why. Because it's not sustainable for most people most of the time. And what I mean by that is I believe in changing up a lifestyle so that it actually becomes who you are, and there's not so much noise around what do I need to eat, when do I need to eat, right? So it's okay to go through a period of time where we're learning something. Every time we learn something new, we sort of have to dive into it and be a bit more conscious about our choices, right? And then it becomes second nature. And that's the whole thing with nutrition as well. I don't believe that most people want to be thinking so hard about what they're eating for the rest of their life. So if they can adopt it as a lifestyle and, work on their habits, it might take them a good 6 months or a year or something to really get it nailed down. Then they've got their habits and they can move on with their life and still have the healthy lifestyle that they want. For most people, ketosis is not going to be, or the ketogenic diet is not going to be something that they can stay in forever, okay? Most of the women that I work with, they don't want to give up their milk chocolate forever, or even dark chocolate, or they don't want to say that they're never ever going to have another slice of pizza, they're never ever going to have another Christmas, their mom's favorite Christmas cookies she makes every year or whatever. Now, there are certainly ways that you can take a lot of these things that we love and transform them into recipes that fit inside a ketogenic lifestyle. Absolutely. But in terms of long term, do people want to really never, ever, ever go out and get that regular piece of pizza or that their favorite bread or whatever? Most people say no. So I'm talking to most people who want to just figure out what's going to work with them in their lifestyle. But a lot of people are seeing the results that some people are having, and that's why it's picking up. That's why it's trendy right now, because they're like, wait a minute, almost everyone knows somebody who's lost weight on a ketogenic diet, or they feel better, or their energy is up. And there's a lot of reasons for it, but it's not just because of being in ketosis, okay? So let me just put it out there first, not against it. I think it's really great as a treatment for a lot of things. I think if you do it the right way, because it could be a little tricky to make sure you're doing it and also getting all of the micronutrients that you need. So I think it really is more of an advanced strategy. Okay, most people can't just learn what they know on the internet and take it and run and do so in a healthy way. Okay, so I put it out there, okay? It's great for some people, some of the time, not for most people, most of the time. That's my belief. But here's what you can do where you can adopt these things as a lifestyle change and still get a lot of the benefits that people are getting from the ketogenic diet. Number one, there's 4 things I have here. Number one is an overnight fast. So by extending the length of time that you're not eating or not taking in anything that has any kind of calories that your body has to digest overnight, that's going to help you burn through your own body fat. When you burn through your own body fat, that's where the release of ketones comes. So when you do it over a more extended period of time, you actually will dip in and out of ketosis a little bit. So you're still getting a little bit of that brain boosting benefit without actually having to stay away from all carbs, okay? So my recommendation, again, to always kind of go slow, and because I don't know you specifically and your health issues, for most people, working up to about 12 hours overnight of fasting works well. Now, of course, there are some people that do it longer, right? Intermittent fasting is another big thing that's out there. Some people will fast for about 16 hours a day and then just eat in an 8-hour window. So that would look like, you might have breakfast at 9 a.m. and you're done eating your dinner by 5 p.m. So that's your 8 hours of eating. You eat your meals inside that 8-hour time period. And then the other 16 hours, so from 5 p.m. all the way until 9 a.m. the next morning, that would be 16 hours. And, you're fasting. You're not eating, you're just drinking water. Or you could have decaf tea, you could have coffee with nothing in it, something like that. That's pretty popular. Now, it doesn't have to be those times that I told you. A lot of people slide this around to work with their lifestyle, which is another reason it's popular, because you can make it work for you. You can eat up until later and then just start your fasting window later in the day. I happen to believe that if you can cut off eating a couple hours before you go to bed, that's actually healthier for you. So you don't want to go to bed on a full stomach. What happens when you go to bed on a full stomach is that your body's taking some of the time that it would have used to heal your body and to rejuvenate and to restore and to sort of clean up all of the cellular debris that happens just from regular life processes that happen during the day. Our body likes to do that work at night. And if you go to bed with food in your stomach, then your body actually has to put that important work on hold until it can get through the food that's in your system. And then it moves over to all the healing and rejuvenating it and that stuff. That's what happens. So if you're waking up really fatigued in the morning, a lot of that could be that your body was spending some time digesting food and it didn't actually have a chance to restore everything it needed to overnight. So in order to give your body that maximum amount of time to do its job, to clean up, it's a great idea to go to bed without having food in your stomach, okay? So make sure you stop eating a couple hours before bedtime. It's also gonna help if you've got acid reflux, if you have trouble falling asleep, that's good. So you don't wanna be starving when you go to sleep, but you don't want to be, have food in your stomach or be full. So kind of the sweet spot for most people is like 2 to 3 hours before bed, you cut off the food. You go to bed, you might be a little hungry, nothing too crazy, you will also get used to it. So that's tip number 1 on how to get ketogenic benefits without actually having a ketogenic diet. Okay, number 2, lower carb. So what happens a lot of times when you see all these wonderful keto transformations is you have to do a comparison about what people are starting with and what they're going to. If you're starting with a standard Western American diet, which is junky, right? And then you're going to ketosis, which is pretty much you're cutting out lots of the processed stuff, you're going to a real food diet. A lot of the magic is not actually in the ketosis. A lot of the magic is in the fact that you've cut out the processed food and you're going lower carb and things like that, okay? So there is a middle ground. I feel like a lot of times we want that quick fix, so we start on one end of the spectrum and we just want to jump all the way to the other end of the spectrum. We don't appreciate a lot of times the fact that this takes some work and it's a gradual process, right? So when we get unhealthy, that's a gradual process. And when we're working towards gaining back our health, that's also a gradual process. Otherwise, it's not going to stick. And the way that you know that is if your attempts in the past haven't stuck, then you know that it doesn't stick if you do it fast. So going lower carb, paying attention to portion sizes is important. So let me just show you what a portion of carbs are. I'm not telling you how many portions you need in one day because that varies greatly. It varies by sex, it varies by goals, it varies by your current body size, how much muscle mass you have, how much activity you have, tons of things like that. But 1 serving of carbohydrates, so this would be your pasta, bread, cake, candy, but also your fruit, also your sweet potatoes and regular potatoes, also your quinoa and your oatmeal, okay? Those are all carbs. The amount that can fit inside a cupped hand, your cupped hand, is 1 serving of carbohydrates. It ends up being about a half a cup. This would be cooked. So if you're looking at rice or pasta or something, you're looking at the end result, the cooked amount, okay? Only what fits in your hand. That's 1 serving. So obviously most of us, we could have a lot more, right? You go out to eat, you have a pasta bowl, and most of us eat a lot more than that. There's certainly things that you can do. You can get, I always tell them to have mostly vegetables. If you get like a pasta with vegetables, you can ask them to do tons more of the vegetables and really light on the pasta. So this way it's like a veggie bowl with some pasta thrown in there. That works. But you can make your food at home too, but just know when you're cooking, when you're making yourself some food or when you're out to eat, it doesn't matter. You've got this visual with you all the time, and you can look and see what a portion of carbohydrates is. Just start to be aware of how many portions you're having at a time, okay? Because if you're having 4 portions at every meal, that's something that you can easily cut back on and start to notice some of these benefits, okay? Tip number 3 is smart carbs. So if you are going from all these processed carbs, start to work on having smart carbs. And the easiest way to know if it's a smart carb is it's got one ingredient. It's a banana. It's an apple. It's a sweet potato. It is quinoa. It's got one ingredient. It's not crackers with 45 ingredients. It's not bread that you bought on the middle shelves of the grocery store. By the way, bread on the middle aisle of the grocery store is usually, I don't know of any breads that are there that are actually good for you. If it's real bread made from real ingredients, it has to be kept in the fridge or the freezer, otherwise it'll go bad. If it's in the middle aisle and it's good for months like that, that's a red flag that it is not really made of very many real ingredients, okay? Because otherwise it wouldn't be shelf stable for that long. So smart carbs, more smart carbs, less of the processed stuff, one ingredient carbs. And then tip number 4 for getting some ketogenesis benefits without actually being on a ketogenic diet would be, and here's the difference, unlimited non-starchy veggies. So this is actually a little bit of a difference, but on a ketogenic diet, one of the things that sometimes have to be reduced, or at least you have to be mindful of, is your vegetable intake, because vegetables actually are a carbohydrate. But non-starchy vegetables, so not your potatoes, not your butternut squash, but the other vegetables, your greens, your asparagus, your bell peppers, even carrots, things like that, all of those other delicious vegetables, I believe that they can be unlimited unless you have a very specific condition going on where you have to, sometimes when people are working on healing their gut, they have to sort of be careful of how many vegetables they're having. Or of course, if you have some sort of a sensitivity, you can't just go crazy with that, you know? But for most people, most of the time, unlimited non-starchy vegetables is great. It's a great way to get the extra micronutrients that you need. It's a great way to feel satiated so you're not super hungry in between meals, especially if you're trying to lose weight. Sometimes hunger can be an issue. And it's a great way to even work on your habits. Because a lot of people, you know, it's hard to start cutting back the amount of meals and snacks you're having. And so you have, 5 hours between meals or 4 hours between meals, and you feel like you want to munch and you want to snack. Having the option of having unlimited non-starchy vegetables as something to snack on sometimes really helps people get towards their next meal. So real quickly, an overview here. Overnight fast. You're going to work on working up to about 12 hours overnight where you're not eating anything. You can drink water. You can have your coffee, tea with nothing in it. Number 2, you're going to work on your carb portions. So this is a serving of carbs, about a half a cup. Just start to be mindful of how many you're having. Chances are you're probably going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm having a lot more than I thought. So just be mindful of that. Number 3, smart carbs. So you're going to start to cut back on the processed carbohydrates you're having, like the breads and the pasta and the crackers, and you're going to start to work up to the one ingredient carbs, your quinoa, your oats, your sweet potatoes, things like that, your fruit. And number 4, unlimited non-starchy vegetables. This is where you can get an edge, okay? On a ketogenic diet, you can't just have as many carrots as you like. I want you to be able to have as many carrots as you like, okay? Most people are not becoming unhealthy because of the amount of carrots that they're eating. So please, unlimited veggies, unless you've got some other medical condition that tells you not. And these are the 4 tips that you can start right away so that you can gain some of those benefits that you're noticing your friends and family members getting from a ketogenic diet, but without having to go that far, okay? So if you have any questions or comments, leave them below so I can come back and chat with you. And if you want more videos like this, more healthy recipes, all my recipes happen to be gluten-free and dairy-free. Workouts every week, weekly challenges, things like that. Come and join my free Facebook group. It's totally free. I'll put the link in the comments here. It's called Healthy, Fit, and Strong with Tara Allen Health. And excuse me, we've got a group of 550 women or so in there, and it's an awesome group, and it's just a place where we can all work on our goals together, hold each other accountable, and I put all of those resources in there for you. Totally free. So if that sounds like something that would be helpful for you, make sure you come over and join us and answer those 3 membership questions in the beginning, because I've got a really cool gift that I want to send you when you join. All right, guys, thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.